This is actually a pretty intense story, but one time I remember there was some teenage boy in our neighborhood that was driving down the road like fast all the time. And he was just like, I don't know, he was in whatever car was super popular back in the day. And I remember he was driving so fast, and my dad one time went out to the road and he took one of like our old trashed tricycles. And when the kid was riding down the road, he threw it in front of the car. And my dad's, and like the kid like hit the tricycle and he slams his brakes on. And my dad said, that was just a tricycle, but most of the time, those things have my children on them. And so I need you to stop riding down the road like that and going so quickly. And I just like, I didn't get it at the time, but I think about now, if I did that to someone riding down the road, but like that to me, like is a protective father. Like, you can't hurt my children. And he also he would eat salad, and I remember, and he would drink Pepsi because we need balance in our lives. And so he would eat his salad, and I always remember crawling up in his lap, and I would definitely pull the like batting my eyelashes thing at him. And he would give me every cucumber that was in his salad, and it would always have ranch on it because it's the superior dressing. And so he would always give me every cucumber without hesitation. And so most times I think I think about, as a parent now, when I do something intentionally that I know my kids are going to love, I just think about him standing in the kitchen chopping up the cucumber for the salad, knowing I'm not going to eat this, but she is. And so I love that. I think about that a lot, and those are the memories that I hold on to with him. He also loved to rub my back at night. Every night, I remember I grew up wearing Cinderella pajama dresses because I knew that after I took my bath, he would be sitting on the couch and I would bring my pillow and my blankie together. I'd go to the couch and I would just say, Dad, are you ready? Because I'm ready. And he would say, yeah, go ahead. So then I would lay the pillow in his lap. I would lay down, and I remember getting old enough that I was embarrassed if my pajama dress rode up, and I was like, Dad, don't look at my undies. And I remember he would say, get your blanket. And so he would cover me up, but he would always just rub my back until I would fall asleep. And then he would carry me to my bed where I would sleep. And those were really sweet times. They were also really hard times. I have one really strong memory of, obviously because of his spending habits after he would care for our family, he and my grandmother would argue a lot about money because during the day, my granny was the one taking care of us, and she was my mother for the first 13 years of my life. And I remember they were fighting about money one night, and I remember being so worried that they were going to get mad at me, and that I was not going to care for either of them well. And I mean, I was probably maybe 7. And I remember they got in this really big fight. They were arguing, and it was very loud. My brothers were not even paying attention. I don't know. They could have been outside or in their rooms. I'm not sure. But I do remember being so worried, and I would be worried about each party very deeply. And so my grandmother would go in her room and she would smoke a cigarette in her bed and she would watch soap operas to like calm down. And my dad would just sit on the couch and watch TV in the living room. And so I would go into the bedroom and I would crawl up next to my grandmother and I would just say, are you okay? Is everything okay? And she would just say, yes, sweetie, I'm fine. I'm fine. And she obviously was angry and upset at her son. But then I would make sure she was okay, and then I would leave and go sit next to my dad on the couch. Are you okay? Is everything okay? And so I think the heart of that was just, are we okay? Is everything okay? Like, I feel the tension. I hear the fighting. That makes me worried that there's going to be further separation in my life than what we've already experienced. And I just remember often doing that. Any fight they would have, I would go back and forth, back and forth. And I remember thinking as a little girl, this is really exhausting. I would go visit friends. I'd be at their house, and I remember thinking, why isn't their family fighting the way that my family fights? Why are they not worried about money? Why, just all these questions that I had rolling around in my mind.